Hey guys, so this is hopefully a quick tell me anything reading. I feel like something was trying to push through. So what I've done is I've mixed up three different decks. The Enchanted Map Oracle cards by Colette Baron Reid, the Elemental Oracle by Stacey DeMarco, and the Divine Animals Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. So you can see at the top there, I've actually, if I just quickly show you, I've got three piles so they weren't, too thick, and I've mixed the cards up similar if you've seen Sand Tarot. I'm sort of trying different techniques and just learning myself. So three different decks all mixed together, and this is how they came out. I split it into three and then did a row for each. So yeah, what I kind of noticed straight away was well, I'll tell you, I'll talk you through it. So the way it starts, we have 44. And then the next card to come out was also 44. Now, actually, these two cards were the only two that came out. And I kind of kept on shuffling. And finally, this one came out. Because I did want to get 3 or 4 for each row. So these were the two that really wanted to come out at first. And they're both number 44. So starting with 4, 4, 4, 4. I should have looked that up beforehand, but I didn't. So I'm going to quickly do that now on camera. Then the next sort of thing I noticed is it goes down here to 42. So it kind of like drops. So then we've got the 2s. And then here we've got 22. It kind of ends this row in 22. So it's like some sort of halving, 44 into 22. And then 4 down here in the middle. So just noticing the numbers there. I'm not 100% sure what that's trying to tell me, but we'll see. So 4, 4, 4, 4 meaning. Let's see what that has to say. Never giving up and always persevering. So it's an angel number, it says. Let's just have a quick look and see what else it has to say. Never give up and persevere. The number 44, oh, it's gone off. The number 4444 is related to hard work. If you want fulfillment and to make your dreams come true, then you need to put effort into making it happen. Don't be lazy or expect a handout when so many gifts are a discredit to who you are. So it's funny because it's sort of like taking the lead and making things happen for yourself, not expecting everything to just be handed to you on a plate perhaps. But what's really interesting is these two cards at the top. The description of them kind of talks about co-creation with the universe. So it's like every step you take, the universe is going to the universe can remove obstacles from your path or put opportunities in front of you. But what's the point of doing any of that if you're not taking any steps? You have to take steps forward in order to either take advantage of the opportunities that the universe gives to you, or to move away from things that don't serve you, or to overcome obstacles. If we just lie there doing nothing, then what can we expect but nothing? The universe can't make you win the lottery if you don't buy a lottery ticket, for example. So interesting, it talks about stepping up a little bit, taking the lead of your own life, making your own dreams happen, and we actually end with leadership. So that's an interesting thing to start with right away. The other interesting thing I noticed is that there, apart from the butterflies on this card, are there even butterflies? No, they're not the leaves. There are no animals on the first 5 cards, and then right bang in the center of the reading we have animals, and then every card has animals on. So again, I'm not 100% sure in what that means, but something's coming through. So I'm going to kind of like take you through it line by line now. Now, the first 2 cards have like a world on, right? It's like the whole of the world. Connection, the biome. So connection tells me it could be something to do with the internet perhaps, or the interconnectivity of people and things. You know, the fact that we are all one. Oh, there is a giraffe there, look. There is a giraffe. Maybe some sort of birds or butterflies. But really, it's like the animals here are part of the whole. So there's something to do with like the whole of the world, the oneness, the unity of the planet. And again, we have this one here as well with strength. So the strength that comes from being connected to nature, perhaps. But you can see she's almost like Atlas. She's like trying to hold the whole world. She's supporting the whole world. She's taking the weight of the world upon her shoulders. So finally, we end up with compass. So this talks about finding your true north, your true destiny. So we could be dealing with somebody here who's very well travelled, who perhaps has had a lot of experiences. Maybe they like going on adventures. They like traveling the world, and that those experiences have helped them to decide what they want to do with their life. We could also be talking about somebody who finds a lot of strength in community, perhaps a lot of strength in the connection with others, especially over the internet. We also have somebody who may be considering moving, so either traveling, taking a vacation, or literally moving to a different location in the whole world, just with that compass. So it is saying find your true north, follow your destiny. So it's like somebody's in like maybe the figuring out stage, like the research stage. They've been looking up stuff on the internet, perhaps looking up different places that they might like to travel to, looking up different places where they might like to make a home, maybe looking at visas and things like this. So there could be something there. Somebody's perhaps dreaming of making a move without actually taking action at that point. Then on the second row, the action actually happens. So you can see she's moving. Literally, we've got the world card here again, and she's moving from one city that looks kind of old to a newer, more modern city. So the action is happening. The movement is taking place. It also comes with ignition, fire, feeling the spark, feeling very creative, having a lot of ideas about what you want to do, where you want to go, and really, really getting things off the ground, right? Getting things moving. Next comes animals and companionship. Now, I'm a bit thrown as to why this is here, but it is at the centre of the reading. Now, it talks to me about somebody who may enjoy getting out into nature, who enjoys the companionship of animals. Perhaps somebody likes animals more than people. It's also kind of almost like a shamanistic kind of energy, a shaman, where it's like perhaps a kind of Dr. Dolittle energy. This kind of gives me Dr. Dolittle energy, like of somebody who can almost talk to animals, who sees it talks about the soul, this card. So sees the soul of the animal. Animals are not just a thing to eat or a thing to play catch with, or a thing to ride, right? Animals, even tiny creatures, even like birds and butterflies, if we pay attention to them, we can see that they're feeling things, or they do have intelligence. They do have a soul. I truly believe that animals have a soul. I've gone and had a picnic in a field of cows. You look into the eyes, you can, the way that they behave, they come over, they're curious, they're interested in what you're doing. I sat down and had this picnic. All the cows came over. I was with a friend. I wasn't just on my own sitting in a field of cows. The cows came over kind of interested in what we were doing, and they kind of all sat down and lay around us, kind of keeping us company, that kind of companionship feeling. So the people talk about I'm vegetarian, so I'm sorry, meat eaters. I don't mean to preach to you. You've got your own choices to make in your life. Okay, I'm not trying to convert you or anything like that. I'm just going to sort of talk about my own personal feelings on the matter. Cows, when their baby cows are taken away from them, they mourn them, they look for them, they don't understand where they've gone, they know that they're their children, and they miss them, they mourn for them. So I can't like meat industry. And again, with cheese, I eat cheese, and I try to be careful about which ones I eat, but I would love to really make that leap into being vegan, or at least I try to go for food that have like the RSPCA label on and things like this. I don't like the farming industry and the way it treats animals, and it's hard to see an animal as something that has a soul and to eat it. So yeah, animals, like, there's something going on here as well about the planet as one big thing. Energy has been something that moves, that you know, the water cycle and things I talk about a lot, how I could drink water today and it could, through the water cycle, end up being part of a lake that you swim in 10 years' time. So there's nothing ever really goes anywhere. The energy always just mutates into something else, which is why I think Metamorphoses here. You know, it could talk about, if you want to talk about, I'm going to say it's as a theory, you know, different opinions are allowed in this reading. You know, some people believe, Buddhist tradition and things believe that when we die, our soul goes into a different living being. Perhaps some of us have been animals in past lives. Perhaps some of us will become animals in other lives. So I am getting a lot of stuff about death and rebirth coming through. Those kind of cards keep coming out: judgment, death, these kind of things. The world card, which talks about completion, into the Fool card, came out twice for me from this deck in the pre-reading. That's the Light Seers Tarot by Chris Sam. So yeah, I feel like perhaps somebody's exploring kind of like you know, there's kind of Buddhist philosophies, philosophy, kind of Eastern philosophies that do talk about the soul kind of transforming into different things. You know, this tradition goes down to, I think it was Plato's myth of also talks about it. Ovid talks about it in the Metamorphoses. He talks about bees and, you know, I'm going to find the quote. Okay, while that was happening, we had a visit from Grandad David and a delivery of some cedar rings, because I love the smell. I like smell them. They smell so good. I love the smell of cedar. I've got some new wardrobes and I just figured it was a good idea to get those as well. So we can have that smell up there as we do story time. So grab your coffee, guys, grab your coffee and settle down, because I'm going to be reading a bit of Ovid's Metamorphoses. This is the Penguin Classics version, translated by David Rayburn. Right, so it's Pythagoras. So Ovid's talking about Pythagoras, the very, very, very famous Greek mathematician, I believe. Philosopher, was he as well? And apparently he was vegetarian. So vegetarianism goes back for at least 2,000 years, right? So what are we seeing here? So just as a reminder, Ovid's very tongue-in-cheek. So whether Ovid was or was not a vegetarian, I don't know. But he's discussing the words of Pythagoras. Mortals, do not defile your bodies with sinful eating. You have the crops to sustain you, the fruit which forces the branches to bend down under its weight, the grapes that swell on the vine, scented herbs and vegetables that fire can soften. Milk's sweet flow cannot fail you, nor honey's fragrant with thyme. That's thyme the herb. The earth supplies her riches and nourishing food in lavish abundance. She offers you the feasts that demand no slaughter or bloodshed. Meet assuages, Assuages, the hunger of animals. Not every species, since horses, cattle, and sheep all happily flourish on grass. Only the beasts whose natural instincts are savage and untamed, angry lions, Armenian tigers, or bears and wolves, delight in the taste of blood. What's interesting as well is we have, these are not particularly carnivores, are they? The owl kind of is, but they're quite passive animals, birds, bisons, elephants here. What a heinous crime is committed when guts disappear inside a fellow creature's intestines, when greedy bodies grow fat on the flesh of the bodies they've eaten, and one living thing depends for its life on the death of its neighbour. That's my thing. I'm like, why should an animal die unnecessarily just so I can live when I can eat so many other foods? Here in this wondrous wealth which the earth, the kindest of mothers, produces, and yet you are happy to bite cruel wounds in your victims, chopping them up with your teeth in the grisly style of a cyclops. You have no way of relieving the hunger pains of your greedy, uncivilized bellies, except by the destroying the life of another. That famous age to which we have given the title of golden was blessed in the fruit of the trees and the plants produced by the earth, Man never polluted his lips with blood. The birds could safely fly on their way through the air. The hare never feared to cross over a field, and the fish didn't rise to the bait to be caught on a hook. In a world of peace, no traps or snares were there to alarm, but someone, whoever it was, must have envied the lions and their food, and set a fatal example by filling his greedy stomach with meat. He opened the gates to crime. The killing of beasts might first explain the staining of iron with steaming blood, and that would have been enough. We may kill any animal seeking to kill ourselves, we admit, without a scruple of consciousness. But while we kill it, we do not have to make it a course in a banquet. The rot continued. The sow, it is commonly thought, was the first to be picked as a victim for sacrifice. Why? Because she'd uprooted the planted seeds with her snout and inferred the harvest. The goat who had nibbled away at a vine was led to the altar of Bacchus, there to be offered up to the god he offended. These two were punished for damage they caused, but how have the sheep done wrong? These peaceful grazers, intended by nature to help us, whose udders are filled with delicious milk, whose fleeces provide us with warm, soft clothes, and who serve us better living than by dying. What have the oxen done? So here we have the bison. Those totally guileless creatures, those simple, innocuous beasts who were born to a life of labour. How could a man have the heart to remove the yoke of the plough from his faithful worker, and almost at once to make him a victim, wielding his axe on that toil-worn neck, whose strength has allowed him to break and renew the soil each year that has yielded a harvest? A man so ungrateful hardly deserves the crop he is reaping. But not content with such wicked behaviour, men choose to involve the gods themselves in their guilt. They reckon the powers of heaven are filled with delight when a loyal, hard-working bullock is slaughtered. A victim unblemished and perfectly formed, its beauty its downfall, adorned with ribbons and gold on its horns, is set by the altar. It listens to prayers which it cannot understand, and feels the sprinkling between its horns of its forehead of barley it helped to produce. Its throat is cut, and the blood runs on the knife, whose reflection the animal may already have seen in the lustral water. The priests move quickly to snatch and inspect the lungs from the throbbing breast of the victim, in order to scan the purpose divine. And then, O race of mortals, so great is man's lust for prohibitive food, you dare to gorge on your victim's flesh. Now stop, I implore you, and mark my words. When you cram your mouths with members of slaughtered oxen, remember you are eating your own farm workers. Yeah, and that is the end of that section. There's something about bees as well. As pliable wax is easily stamped with a new impression and never remains as it was, nor preserves one single shape, but still is the same self-wax, so I say that our souls are always the same, though they move from home to home in different bodies. Therefore hark to my voice, let love and family duty never be overpowered by the lusts of the belly. Beware the impious slaughter which dispossesses the soul of a kinsman, and never be tempted to feed your blood with the blood of another. So yeah, he talks a little bit about it there. It continues as well. Pay attention and I shall explain the changes they pass through. The world eternal contains 4 bodies which generate matter. 2 of them, earth and water, are heavy and gravitate downwards. The other 2, air and fire, which is even purer, are weightless and tend to make their way up, as if nothing presses them down. So yeah, he kind of talks about the shifting. Though parts may possibly shift their position from here to there, the wholeness in nature is constant. So, yeah, there's that, which is interesting because the owl here moves on to talk about the Greek goddess Athena and wisdom and knowledge and communication, and how Athena chose more peaceful, educated I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of. She would rather talk things out and have treaties rather than just go to war like Mars did, who was her kind of counterpart. So there's something to do about this kind of peaceful leadership here with the owl and the wisdom. Knowledge is power, perhaps. But yeah, it's sort of talking about something to do here with like the soul transmuting, being, seeing the animals. It's like being able to see the soul of the person is what's coming through, because this bison card talks about a story from Native America where there were two kind of Native Americans, and they were going looking for the bison, and they saw a woman dressed in white, right? Like the next card. And they say one of them was basically like, oh, she's really sexy, I'm going to go and bang her and make her my wife. And the other guy was like, I maybe shouldn't do that. That seems a bit disrespectful. And I'm pretty sure she's a goddess. And the guy went and tried anyway. And she kind of like poofed him into a puff of smoke. But the guy who was more reserved, who was more respectful, who recognized the divinity within her. So this is it, recognizing the soul within, recognizing the divinity within. This person was... his tribe was made abundant. They had everything they needed. There is also, just kind of like to talk about both sides of the argument here. Again, I'm vegetarian, but just to kind of say the bison here, obviously the bison was an animal that provided a huge amount of resources for the Native Americans. It provided them with fur, waterproof material for their huts, things to keep them warm. The bones were useful. They could make them into tools. So every part of the animal was used. And again, this could be something to do with every part being used, like an animal's life not being wasted, perhaps. But also bison were kind of hunted to near extinction, weren't they? I think, if I'm remembering rightly. I could look it up, but I'm not going to because I'm not here to make you feel like you're sat in a class, right? So yeah, the soul transforming, being able to see the soul within living things, even perhaps in nature, not just animals, the transformation perhaps, and then there's this intention. So this is saying back to finding your true north, taking action, doing the research. It's like make your intention clear. What is your wish? Now, these dandelion clocks are particularly speaking to me personally at the moment. I'm seeing the dandelions everywhere. It is spring. It is the season for them. I actually wished on a dandelion clock a week or so ago, just as I was out walking, and they keep coming up in other readers' readings. So I'm seeing them a lot as a personal message for me. I did also use the imagery of one on one of my Tell Me Anything readings. So if that's also speaking to you, maybe go and look up that Tell Me Anything reading. But when we wish, our wishes scatter on the wind like seeds, and those seeds are planted and they turn into something more. So one wishing on one dandelion clock can create a whole field of dandelion clocks. So there's something to do with you be careful of your intentions, what you think about, you bring about, and making sure that your intentions are good, because that's going to multiply. And also it talks about the prosperity, right? When you have an idea, when you have a concept, when you have a wish, you're birthing something new, and this is creation energy, which is very abundant energy to have. So it's like something new is being birthed into the world, and it's talking about the dreams and wishes and the intentions of what happened here when someone was exploring the world, doing the research, figuring out what their true north was, taking action on it, something to do with animals, this metamorphosis, this change. And then this is kind of like taking action on those wishes, birthing them into the world. But it also talks about the knowledge here as well, because the owl comes back here with the wisdom. So as I say, this bison card, which talks about ritual of it could be talking about ancestors, traditions, things that came from us from before, and respecting that possibly. And again, respecting the woman in the white dress, the goddess within. Athena was actually a goddess who came to earth in many different forms. If you read the Odyssey, she comes to Telemachus, the Odysseus' son, in the form of an old man, an old friend. Also ancient Greece had a tradition. It was protected by Zeus. It was very, very important, and it was to do with welcoming travellers and welcoming people to your home, and opening your home up to people who were in need. Greece at the time, it was a series of lots of small kingdoms almost, run by the Basileus. There was a lot of trade and a lot of travel between these different islands, and as people were travelling around, they really relied on this concept of guest friendship in order to have places to stay and places to eat and shelter. So there was a law of Zeus that said you don't ask any questions of travellers. If somebody comes to your house and you're in a position to look after them, you make sure they have a place to sleep. You make sure that they're safe. You make sure that they have a good meal, and then you're allowed to ask them questions. There could be something to that there as well, opening your home up to others, whether that's your country. It could be talking about borders, opening your country up to other people. That's obviously an issue at the moment with COVID restrictions, travel restrictions from different countries. Who do we let in our country? Who do we prevent from coming into our country? Is there a good reason for doing so? Things like this could be coming into play here as well, with those world cards up at the top. I do feel like somebody made a wish. I do feel like the universe has responded. I do feel like, I always depended on the kindness of strangers. It's like being kind to people even people you don't know, being kind to animals, rescuing animals if you see them in need, as you take a walk, these kind of things. I feel like it can pay off. It's like the universe is watching. The universe is paying attention to your intentions. Do you have good intentions? Do you have bad intentions? The universe is going to reward good intentions. And then, we go into this leadership card here with this elephant. Now, this actually also talks about a case of mistaken identity, of misunderstanding someone's intentions. It talks about, I believe it's, let me just double check because I don't want to get this wrong. I'm better on Greek and Roman mythology. That was kind of my thing, than the mythology of other cultures. So the Hindu god Ganesha was shaped from the earth by the goddess Parvati. When her husband Shiva returned after a long way away from home, the first thing he saw was a handsome young man with Parvati. In his anger, he attacked the young man, severing his head. Parvati then revealed who Ganesha was, and Shiva sent his soldiers to return with the head of any sleeping being that was facing the north. So we've got to think about the north again twice here. An elephant was found. It did actually come out in that reading with the wish. So an elephant was found and his head was attached to the body of Ganesha. The life of Ganesha was restored, and Shiva declared that from then on, this elephant-headed young man would always be loved by the community, and his name invoked as a joyful blessing prior to the beginning of major undertakings such as business developments and projects of any kind. So that kind of goes on. Ganesh is the person who makes sure no obstacles would be placed in the way of righteous actions, but it was also he who placed obstacles to encourage people to take different directions. So if there's an obstacle in your path, it could be that you're being redirected by Ganesha, or you're being blocked because perhaps you are not doing something with the purest of intentions. Make sure your intentions are good, and then the universe can deliver you what you want. They're going to remove the obstacles. So good intentions, seeing the soul within of the people and animals around you, respecting the wishes and needs of others, being pure of heart. All these things are kind of discussed in this reading here. Really interesting, though, that we go from no animals apart from that small giraffe and that world card. It's like the big picture into the small picture almost. And then also these references to kind of hospitality, mistaken identity, respecting strangers, this kind of thing. I did get a little saying that came through this morning, and it was, I want to be, I don't know who this is about. I don't know if this is something you're saying to others, or this is something others are thinking about you, or if it's just a general thing. But that I got two sentences. I want to be with you in your most boring moments. I want to listen when you have nothing to say. I did get a card myself yesterday. It was from one of these decks, and it's an elephant. I believe it's from this deck here, which was the Enchanted Map Oracle, and it was an elephant, and it says listening, and there's a little robin on its head. So I feel like somebody's in a receptive energy, somebody's listening to something that somebody has to say, perhaps a bird, someone smaller than themselves. But I was quiet and I just listened, and I can hear a lot of bird noises. There's a lot of birds on the rooftops around my home, and dogs barking and things like this. There's a cat that goes past with a little bell on its neck. And as I was listening, and I was sat there sort of meditating and listening, a car drove past on the main road, and it was making clown car noises. It had a clown car horn. It was like, I can't make the noise now, but it made me laugh, and my eyes rested on my son's binoculars, which is like this little Batman symbol. So I don't know if there's something to do with like the Joker and Batman coming through there. I don't know quite what that means, but that was the message I got when I listened to the universe around me. I'm just being quiet there so you can hear the birds chirping. And someone hammering in the distance, and traffic. So yeah, listen to what people are saying, because they may be trying to... There's something going on about surface level as well. I've been picking this up all week about not looking on the surface of people. I think it came out in Libra's reading, actually. You're not going to understand somebody if you're just looking at the surface. You have to look at what's in the soul, and maybe you're going to find that soul is good. So let's get you a card as advice if this reading is resonating with you in any way. I'm not saying you have to all go out and be vegan now, by the way. Rabbit Spirit, now is a lucky time, and set healthy boundaries there with Armadillo Spirit. I'm going to put those back in because it wasn't quite ready. But my attention waned, so that they just kind of popped out there unexpectedly. But yeah, whatever you do, you have a right to make your own choices, right? Just make sure that your choices are good, your intentions are good, and that you do respect, if you are eating meat, that you respect where that food has come from. Say a little thank you prayer or whatever. Maybe some of you do Thanksgiving. I'm British, so we don't have that, but perhaps that's something that you want to do, or give thanks that animal is giving you nutrition, and maybe just look at where your food comes from and try and make sustainable and good choices, right? So let's see, advice that, because we want the world to last, don't we, for generations. We want it to be there for our descendants, right? And we want to make sure that the ecosystem's protected. So meat eating and the meat production industry is particularly bad for the environment. Again, I'm not trying to give you a whole speech here. You do you, but it's just something to be aware of and to make conscious choices. I think that's all I'm asking. So don't be selfless. Maybe that's perhaps what's coming through here as well. Don't be selfish. Do be selfless. Don't be selfish. Don't just think about your own needs. Think about the needs of others. Quite a few kind of deep spiritual messages coming through with this reading. We've got too many cards again. I'm seeing starfish though, open to infinite possibility. Can I just get one card, please? One card as advice for this reading for the people watching. You're giving me too many. Slow and steady wins the race. Turtle spirit, ant spirit, time to collaborate. Okay, I'm going to do last chance. That was hummingbird and eagle there as well. Butterfly there on the bottom. Transformation is beautiful. We've got Metamorphoses. I feel like I'm going to take that card because they're being stubborn, and that card feels like it fits. So yeah, maybe saying use your intuition. Interesting as well, we've gone from 44 split in half to 22, split in half to number 11 there as well. This feels right. So there could be something to do here with using your instincts in collaboration with the universe to know what feels right to you. Also noticing the wings here, the wing imagery, the wings behind the owl here, kind of like the owl has angel wings behind it. Also the butterflies here on this card, and how the two flamingos come together to almost make a pair of butterfly wings. Ovid was talking about transformation as well, I believe, at one point. So transformation is beautiful. I mean, Ovid's Metamorphoses, right? Maybe, maybe that's what wants to come through there. Go and read Ovid. Maybe some of you are reading Ovid's Metamorphoses. It's one of my favourite books. I love how slippery he is. I love how he'll set something up. My video cut out. He'll set something up, and in the next scene, he'll contradict that. It's always shifting. Opinions, perhaps, are always shifting. But things like the abundance of the universe, the abundance of the world, nature, it's more permanent than opinions that may just last a decade, right, before public opinion changes on something. So I don't know, lots of things to think about in this reading today. Transformation is beautiful. Joy and the beautiful lightness of being alive and creative in the world is the focus when butterfly spirit flutters before you. Again, just to talk about creation. Ignition talks to me about creation energy, action, and then we have the intention and the egg being birthed because of dreams and wishes, somebody's self-discovery perhaps. So a lot of creation energy. Transformation is inevitable as you grow into your most beautiful, empowered self. Indeed, you will go through some uncomfortable stages as you let go of the forms of your life that no longer fit the new you. Even relationships must go through shifts to match your new emerging self. If you can focus on the beauty and not the challenges, stop taking yourself too seriously, and choose to be playful, loving and joyous, you will soon know the miracle your soul wants you to experience through you. Today is a day for joy, so alight. Look around and see the beauty that is everywhere and in everyone, including you. Perfect. What was I saying about this oneness, right? The soul, the interconnectivity. Look around and see the beauty that is everywhere and in everyone and everything, including you. Yeah, so beautiful. I like that. I like that as an end to the reading. I'm going to get a couple of songs just to close out the reading. We'll see what we get. We'll get one as what do we need to hear right now, and we'll get one as advice as well. So come on. The song that's currently playing is a nice one. I feel like it fits in quite well. Tim McGraw, Humble and Kind. So go on, we're being humble and kind. We're thinking of the world here. We're being humanitarian. Come on, we're listening. What do you need to tell us right now? It's going to be something silly, isn't it? Listen Before I Go by Billie Eilish. Okay, there we go. So I skipped the advert. Listen Before I Go, Billie Eilish. If anyone is sick or dealing with the passing of a loved one, my heart goes out to you. That's always a really difficult thing to deal with. It could be why I've gone through that whole reading and then I've just got this at the end. Perhaps you needed to hear it first without me knowing that. Perhaps you just needed to hear, perhaps you've been raised with ritual with certain traditional beliefs, and perhaps the universe wanted to hear you to consider alternate beliefs, perhaps, that have been here for a very long time. You can go and look up like Buddhism and, the philosophies of Pythagoras and things like this. And yeah, if somebody is feeling like they are done here, please do reach out to people around you, support networks, family. Things can always get better, right? We can transform our lives without leaving these physical bodies. We can change our lives. It is possible, even when it doesn't feel possible. So if you're having a difficult period at the moment, please do reach out to doctors who may be able to help chemically. Reach out to counsellors. What am I trying to think of? Services that can talk you through it, charities, advice lines, friends, family, strangers. Sometimes opening up to strangers, you can talk about things that you wouldn't normally talk about. So find ways to get help and get support, and you know, write things down. Even if you just speak things out to the universe, you know, sometimes just speaking can help us get through our feelings. But please do not do anything rash. I was kind of listening to that song and kind of kept on reading, and he does indeed talk about the butterflies and the bees, and talks about how can you eat a chicken. That chicken might have been your grandma, you know, if you believe in reincarnation, things like this. But he says as well, we too are part of the world and are more than physical bodies. We also possess winged souls. We are able to make our abodes inside wild beasts and to hide away in the hearts of cattle. The creatures we may see may well embody the souls of our parents or brothers or people to whom we've been bonded, of human beings at least. So let us allow them their safety and proper respect. And I won't continue with what he says next. So, yeah, maybe something to think about. I don't know. I don't know why these things need to come through. I assume the message is going to get to whoever needs to hear it when they need to hear it. So when this reading reaches you, it's your message at that time, if it's resonating. Let's get an advice song, please. Can we get an advice song for anyone who's resonating with this reading right now? Best advice, please. She's Madonna. Fair enough. She's Madonna. A little bit of a religious word there. And my video did cut out. So she's Madonna. I'm sorry, I've got to go. She's Madonna. I don't know. Take that as it resonates to you. Go and watch the video. Awesome video there by Robbie Williams. And the Pet Shop Boys. And yeah, go and check it out. See what that says to you. And yeah, do take care. But look after yourselves and ask for help if you need it. You know, if you are coming to the point where you feel like desperate, like you don't have many choices, then it's kind of like, well, you've got nothing to lose, right? You might as well try and do things in this life while you have it. So yeah, just yeah, please do reach out to people if you need that. But yeah, go and listen to that song, and it'll cheer me up. I don't know about you, but it'll cheer me up. So best of luck. I really do. Just know that the universe is listening to you. It is, if this is your reading, the universe knows and the universe hears you, and they want you to keep going. Do take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, guys.